Those were the actual words Janelle whispered the moment she saw the documents. Shirley did this. And from that one sentence, besties, it all began to unravel. What you're about to hear is one of the most shocking betrayals Robyn Brown's ever committed, and trust me, I am not exaggerating a single bit. Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into the truth behind the $315,000 meltdown that nearly blew up Kody and Robyn's whole world. And yes, I mean literally. Robyn wasn't just caught lying. She was caught red-handed in a move that would have taken money away from both Janelle and Meri. Not by accident, not by confusion, but by design. You're going to see exactly how she tried to pull this off and why. Kody snapped in a way we've never seen before. Okay, let's go ahead and build up to where everything just fell apart. And funny enough, it didn't start with money. It started with a kiss. Yes, besties, a kiss. Remember that 2019 Valentine's Day clip? Kody handing out flowers, the wives awkwardly smiling, Christine trying to keep things light, Janelle doing what Janelle always does, staying calm, and then out of nowhere, Robyn walks up to Kody and kisses him on the lips, right in front of everyone. The same Robyn who used to tell the other wives they shouldn't show affection in front of each other because it made people uncomfortable. And now, years later, suddenly she doesn't know how to be affectionate. She doesn't know how to kiss him. She's confused. She's shy. She's overwhelmed. Besties, let's be real. It's nonsense. She says whatever benefits her in the moment, and that's exactly the pattern that leads us straight into the $315,000 chaos, because that kiss wasn't affection, it was strategy. It was a silent declaration. He's mine now. And from that second on, everything changed course. The land fights, the property ownership arguments, the plans for inheritance, the mortgage drama, the restructuring the trust. All of it was quietly building up to a much more epic plan. And that plan beckoned crystal clear the moment Robyn realized she would lose. $315,000. The moment she realized she was going to have to give it up, everything changed. She started refusing to sign agreements. She stalled for months. She said everything was unfair when this whole time she was the only one blocking the deal. Janelle signed, Meri signed, Kody signed, every attorney signed it off. It was a balanced and fair plan. Robyn was literally the only one holding everything up. And besties, here's the part she hoped no one would ever figure out. She wasn't fighting for fairness. She was fighting for money. Money she believed belonged to her. Money she didn't want to share. Money she thought she deserved more than Janelle or Meri ever did. But it didn't start with the money. Actually, it started years earlier with a quiet filing no one paid attention to at the time. A disclaimer deed. A little piece of paperwork that Robyn signed behind closed doors that would later give her enormous leverage over the entire Coyote Pass property. The tact holds the key to everything. And besties, once you understand what that deed really meant, you'll see precisely how Robyn planned this whole thing long before the $315,000 meltdown ever happened. This betrayal didn't just happen overnight. It had been coming for years, and this was the moment when the mask finally slipped. Part 1 ends here. Janelle would later say that she felt something wasn't right, long before the $315,000 ever became an argument. Shekel didn't explain it at the time, but she said there was a weird energy every time land, ownership, or property came up, and besties, she was right. Because Robyn had already positioned herself years earlier in a way that would give her more control than anyone realized. It all goes back to that disclaimer deed. Now, most people don't understand what a disclaimer actually is. It sounds harmless, like something routine you sign when you buy property. But in this case, it was the starting point of a very calculated move. When Kody purchased one off the Coyote Pass parcels using funds Robyn didn't contribute to, she signed a document saying Shay was disclaiming her rights to it, basically saying, "I'm not claiming this as my property." But a kicker is this: in so doing, she actually left Kody as the sole legal owner of that parcel. And what happens when Kody owns something alone? It still belongs to Robyn indirectly because she has control over Kody. That's exactly what she used to her advantage later on. Besties, let me paint the picture clearly. At the time, everyone thought Robyn was being respectful. Like, oh look, Robyn is doing the right thing, not claiming rights to a property she didn't pay for. What she was actually doing was creating a situation in which her approval would one day be required for every decision Kody made. Because once they legally tied themselves together, anything he owned, she could influence or block. And that's precisely what happened. Years later, when they were trying to finalize the Coyote Pass division, that disclaimer deed suddenly became a weapon. Kody wanted things to be divided equitably. Janelle and Meri agreed Christine was long gone and not part of this. Everyone was ready to move forward, but Robyn, she refused. She delayed signing legal documents. She cried. She told Kody it wasn't fair. She repeated over and over that she felt uncomfortable, but never explained why. She made it seem like she was protecting the family, but in reality, she was protecting herself. And besties, this is where the betrayal becomes crystal clear. Under the original ownership breakdown, Kody and Robyn together controlled about 71% of the land's equity, while Janelle and Meri combined had less than 30%. So when it came time to sell, the attorneys created a fair plan, a 50-25 25 split for the proceeds. That meant Kody and Robyn would take 50%, Janelle 25%, and Meri 25%. Everybody agreed. Everyone signed. Everyone went forward except Robyn, because that 50-25 25 split meant one thing. She and Kody would lose over $300,000. Yes, besties, $315,000 to be exact. And in that instant, Robyn grasped that number. She saw the math, and nothing was fair anymore. Suddenly she wanted a reevaluation. Suddenly she wanted new discussions. Suddenly she had concerns. This wasn't emotional confusion. This wasn't fear. This wasn't about family unity. This was money. Her money. The money she refused to share. The money she felt she deserved. The money she thought Janelle and Meri had no right to. And the most explosive part? Kody knew. Deep down, he knew exactly why she wouldn't sign. Because for the first time, they weren't aligned. This wasn't about Christine. This wasn't about cameras. This wasn't even about marriage drama. This was a direct financial clash between Kody and Robyn themselves. And besties, that's where the meltdown started brewing. Kody tried to act calm. He talked to her, trying to reason with her. He explained to her how it was the only fair solution. But she just kept pushing back. She kept crying. She kept twisting it into something emotional, and then Kody snapped. This is the moment when everything inside him finally broke. But before we get to that meltdown, because trust me, it was worse than in your nose, you need to understand what Robyn was actually risking by not signing, because if she kept refusing, the entire Coyote Pass deal could have fallen apart. The sale could have failed. The fair split could have collapsed. And the wives, especially Janelle, would have lost massive amounts of money. Robyn was not just being obstinate. She was holding the entire family's finances hostage, and Janelle knew it. And Meri knew it, and finally Kody realized it as well. Besties, this is where the fight becomes explosive. That's because auntie attorneys got involved once paperwork was sitting on desks. Unsigned once deadlines were missed. It all spiraled out of control. And Kody, he had a full-blown financial meltdown. But what triggered him? What was the last straw? What was the exact moment he realized Robyn betrayed everyone? Find out in the next part. The breaking point didn't come during a family meeting. It didn't come in front of cameras. It didn't even come at one of those fraught driveway arguments at Coyote Pass, besties. The moment Kody finally snapped came about in the most unlikely place imaginable, in front of a bank officer. Yes, a bank officer. While Robyn was dragging her feet, crying about fairness, refusing to sign papers, and insisting she was protecting the family. Kody was busy trying to secure the biggest financial move of his entire life, the $2.1 million home he and Robyn wanted. And here's the part Robyn never expected Anion to figure out. Her delays with the Coyote Pass deal nearly destroyed their ability to qualify for that expensive home. This is the part TLC never aired. This is the part Kody could hardly admit. This is the part Robyn acted like she didn't understand. But besties, she understood it perfectly. Let me explain how. When you apply for a jumbo loan, a mortgage over the federally supported limit, you can't just show income. You need assets. Big assets, stable assets the bank can clearly verify. And guess what Kody listed as his biggest asset of time? His equity in Coyote Pass, not his TLC income, not his businesses, not the rental home he and Robyn were in. No, it was the land. The land that wasn't even fully divided yet. The land that had no clear boundaries. The land was a tangled mess of joint ownerships. But Kody claimed he owned 71% of it. To the bank, that meant something like, hey, even if it lowers my TLC income, I still have approximately $1 million in property value. He needed that equity to look solvent. He needed it to look stable. He needed it to look like wealth. But with own caveat, it wasn't really his. Not totally, not clearly, and not legally. Because the minute those agreements were inked, he and Robyn's share would fall to 50%, and that shift, that loss of $315,000, it could change everything for the loan. Whereas Robyn pretended she was dragging her feet because the agreement felt unfair. In fact, she knew exactly what she was doing. She wanted to hold on to that full 71% for as long as possible, from the moment she signed, the moment she agreed, the moment the paperwork went through. They would not appear as powerful financially on paper anymore, and she wasn't ready to give that up. Now, picture Kody sitting in a bank office trying to explain to a loan officer why the equity numbers content the shift, why paperwork was late, why deeds weren't finalized, and why his assets didn't look clean. Picture him trying to act calm while his financial future was hanging by a thread, all because Robyn refused to sign documents that every single other participant had signed. Off on. This is where Kody cracked. The bank officer asked one simple question, a question that should have been easy to answer. Why hasn't your wife signed her portion of the property agreement yet? That was it, one line. And that's when the meltdown began. Kody stumbled, mumbled, tried to explain. He tried to blame attorneys. He tried to make it sound like a process thing or a timing issue. But the truth tumbled out before he could catch himself. Has said something like, she doesn't agree with the numbers. She wants to keep the original equity share. She thinks the split isn't fair. The bank officer stared at him. In that moment, Kody realized what he had just admitted. He did not control the situation. He didn't control his wife. He didn't control the property. Without Robyn's cooperation, he didn't control the house loan either. This was the ultimate embarrassment for someone like Kody, who prides himself on control. He tried to recover. He tried to explain the family dynamic. He tried to talk about plural marriage, about trust issues, about financial blending, but it didn't matter. The bank needed signatures, The bank needed clarity. The bank required legal documents, and Kody didn't have it because Robyn wouldn't give it. Besties, Kody stormed out of that meeting furious. Not at the bank, not at the loan process, not at the numbers. He was furious at Robyn for the first time in years. The man saw exactly what she was doing. She wasn't protecting the family. She wasn't confused. She wasn't overwhelmed. She was holding up the entire process because she didn't want to lose. $315,000, and now it was costing him. His time, his pride, his image, his marriage, and maybe even the house he had already moved into in his mind. By the time he got them, he wasn't calm. He wasn't patient. He wasn't trying to explain anymore. He confronted her, but besties? What? Robyn said back to him. What did she tell him at that moment? It shocked him so much, he later admitted he considered doing a secret deal behind her back. And that moment, that confession, that explosive argument, and besties, here's the part that still gives me chills. After everything, the delays, the excuses, the emotional breakdowns, the fights with lawyers, the financial pressure, the screaming matches, Robyn finally signed the papers. But she didn't do it because she believed in fairness. She didn't do it because she wanted peace. She didn't even do it because she trusted Kody. She did it because she realized that something was far scarier. If she didn't sign, otherwise, she could lose something even greater than $315,000. She could lose Kody himself. Because Kody wasn't just angry. He wasn't simply frustrated. He wasn't just embarrassed by the bank situation. He was done. For the first time in their marriage, he saw Robyn exactly the way the other wives had described her for years. He saw the manipulation. He saw the control. He saw the money obsession. He saw how far she was willing to go to protect herself, even if it meant hurting everyone else and besties. That realization terrified her. She signed the papers, only after she realized she no longer had him completely wrapped around her finger. But by then, the damage was already done. The trust was already gone, and Kody, he hasn't been the same since. But here's what nobody knows yet, and what I'll break down in my next video. Robyn didn't walk away from this quietly. She refused to just give up. She didn't forgive. She didn't forget. Behind the scenes, she began to work on something else. Something even bigger. Something even more secretive. Something that makes the $315,000 appear like mere pocket change. She's planning her next move, her next financial play, her next power grab, and besties, we've uncovered the receipts. We know exactly what she's doing next. Now we know who she's after. And we know the real reason she's suddenly trying so hard to play the victim. Trust me, what's coming is so shocking it make his $315,000 meltdown look like a warm-up. And if you want the full truth, if you want the documents, if you want the timeline, if you want the hidden conversations that the family thought would never get out, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell, because in the next video, I'm exposing the plan Robyn has been hiding from everyone, including Kody. You do not want to miss it. Bye, besties, and buckle up. The next chapter is wilder than anything you've heard today.